Hello everyone and welcome back to Western Flavors. Today we're starting a special two-part story set a couple of months after Amy and Ty's beautiful wedding. Life at Heartland has settled into a routine, but as newlyweds, Amy and Ty are about to discover that sometimes the honeymoon phase needs a little help to actually happen. If you're enjoying this season, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a chapter. Today's episode explores what happens when the demands of ranch life threaten to overshadow newlywed bliss, and one husband decides to do something extraordinary about it. Let's dive in. The early morning sun had barely crested the horizon when Amy Fleming Borden trudged toward the round pen, her boots heavy with exhaustion. The coffee she'd downed at 5 a.m. had done nothing to chase away the fatigue that had settled into her bones like an old friend she couldn't shake. In the pen, a bay gelding named Maverick paced anxiously, his ears pinned back, nostrils flaring. He'd been sent to Heartland 3 days ago with a reputation for refusing riders and bucking off anyone who tried. Amy had worked with difficult horses her entire life, but lately every horse felt like climbing a mountain when she was already standing at the summit.
You sure you're up for this today?
Amy turned to see her husband leaning against the fence, his arms crossed, concern etched across his features. Ty had been watching her more carefully these past few weeks, and he knew he could read her exhaustion as easily as she could read a horse's body language.
I'm fine. He's not going to work through his issues by himself.
Neither are you.
The comment hung in the air between them, gentle but pointed. Amy managed a tired smile and climbed over the fence, grabbing the lead rope. As she approached Maverick, the horse sidestepped nervously, and she felt every muscle in her body protest the subtle movements required to calm him. Behind her, Ty watched with growing concern. This was the third morning this week he'd found Amy in the round pen before sunrise, pushing herself when she should have been resting. And it wasn't just Amy. They'd both been running on empty, caught in a relentless cycle of early mornings and late nights that left them barely functional, let alone connected. The past few weeks blurred together in Ty's memory. Wake at dawn, work with horses until dark, collapse into bed too exhausted to talk, repeat. They lived in the same loft, slept in the same bed, but sometimes days passed where they exchanged nothing more meaningful than logistics about feed schedules and veterinary appointments. This wasn't what he'd imagined marriage would be. By the time they sat down for breakfast an hour later, both Amy and Ty moved with the mechanical efficiency of people running on autopilot. Amy poured coffee while Ty made toast, their movements practiced but distant like roommates who'd perfected a morning routine.
Remember when we used to talk about taking a honeymoon?
Amy looked up from her coffee, surprised by the sudden shift in conversation. A wistful smile crossed her face.
Yeah, Paris. The Eiffel Tower. Those little cafes. All of it.
We never did that.
I know. But someday, right? When things settle down.
She said it like a mantra she'd repeated too many times, the words losing meaning through repetition. Ty watched her take another sip of coffee, saw the dark circles under her eyes, and felt something harden in his chest. When would things settle down? There was always another horse, another emergency, another reason to put themselves last.
Yeah, someday.
But even as he said it, Ty's mind was already turning, an idea taking shape. Amy returned to her breakfast, missing the thoughtful expression on her husband's face, the way his jaw set with quiet determination. That afternoon, while Amy worked with another client horse, Ty made a phone call, then another. By evening, he'd lined up 3 side jobs: fence repairs for the Hansons, barn construction for a ranch 2 towns over, and weekend work helping Scott with emergency calls. The money wouldn't be huge, but if he was careful, if he worked hard enough, he could make this happen. He just had to keep it quiet. Over the next week, Amy noticed Ty seemed even busier than usual. He'd disappear after dinner, claiming he was helping Scott or checking on a horse at another property. She assumed it was just ranch work. There was always something that needed doing, someone who needed help. What she didn't see were the long hours Ty spent repairing fences in the fading light, the weekends he sacrificed to help neighbors with projects, the careful way he deposited extra cash into a separate account he'd opened. Every dollar brought him closer to his goal, but it also meant less time with Amy, which felt like a cruel irony when the whole point was to reconnect with her. The routine became suffocating. Wake before dawn, work until exhaustion, collapse into bed, repeat. Amy moved through her days in a fog, her body present but her spirit dulled by the endless demands. She worked with horses because she loved it, but lately the love felt buried under obligation. Tuesday morning brought another difficult mare. Wednesday, a gelding with trust issues. Thursday, a full day of lessons with young riders who needed her patience when she had none left to give. Friday blurred into Saturday and Saturday into Sunday until the days lost their individual character and became just another stretch of work to survive. It was Sunday evening when everything crystallized for Amy. She and Ty had finally finished their work, finally sat down on the couch in their loft, finally had a moment to breathe. The silence between them felt vast, not comfortable but empty, like they'd forgotten how to fill it with anything meaningful.
You know what's weird?
What?
I feel like we're roommates more than newlyweds. We live together, we work together, but when's the last time we actually talked? Like, really talked?
The words came out more bitter than she'd intended, but once spoken, Amy couldn't take them back. They hung in the air, heavy with truth. Ty felt the comment land like a physical blow. She was right, and knowing she was right made it worse. They'd been married for just a few months, and already they'd fallen into a pattern that stripped away everything that made them them. When had they last laughed together? When had they last done anything that wasn't work?
I don't know.
It was an honest answer, maybe too honest. Amy's expression crumbled slightly, and she looked away, staring out the loft window at the darkening ranch beyond.
I'm sorry. I'm just tired.
Don't apologize. You're not wrong.
They sat together in that uncomfortable silence, and Ty felt the weight of Amy's words settle over him. Is this what life after marriage is supposed to be? Just existing side by side, too exhausted to actually live? His parents' marriage had been complicated, often painful. He'd promised himself his marriage would be different, but different required effort, required intention, required more than just love, it required action. That night, lying in bed while Amy slept fitfully beside him, Ty made his decision. He'd been saving for weeks, working himself ragged to put together enough money. Tomorrow, he'd make it happen. No more waiting for the perfect time, no more putting their happiness last. Monday passed in the usual blur. Tuesday brought an unexpected cold snap that had everyone at Heartland working overtime to ensure the horses were comfortable. Wednesday, Amy dealt with a particularly challenging training session that left her questioning her abilities. By Thursday evening, Ty knew he was ready. The family dinner that night was warm and familiar. Jack's stories, Lou's organizational updates, Georgie's chatter about school. Amy sat beside Ty, more relaxed than she'd been all week, actually smiling at her grandfather's jokes. This was the Amy he'd fallen in love with, the woman whose joy was infectious when she wasn't drowning in exhaustion. As the meal wound down and people started clearing dishes, Ty caught Amy's hand.
Hey, can you come outside with me for a minute?
Now, it's freezing out there.
Just for a minute, please?
Something in his voice made Amy pause. She studied his face, saw a nervous excitement there that intrigued her.
Okay.
Close your eyes first.
Ty, what are you doing?
Just trust me.
Amy closed her eyes, feeling Ty's hand on her elbow as he guided her through the house and out the front door. The cold evening air bit at her cheeks, and she pulled her cardigan tighter.
Okay, open them.
Amy opened her eyes to find Ty standing before her, holding an envelope. In the dim porch light, she could see his hands shaking slightly, could see the hope and fear warring on his face.
Open it.
Her fingers fumbled with the envelope, pulling out 2 printed papers. At first, the words didn't make sense. Flight confirmation, passenger names, destination Paris. Her brain struggled to process what she was seeing.
Ty, what is this?
It's our honeymoon, 2 weeks in Paris. We leave in 10 days.
The papers trembled in her hands. Amy looked from the tickets to Ty's face, her eyes filling with tears.
How? Ty, we can't afford this. This must have cost thousands.
The joy she felt warred immediately with panic about money, about responsibility, about all the practical concerns that had governed her life for so long.
I've been working extra. The past month, all those times, I said I was helping Scott, or checking on horses. I was, but I was also doing fence repairs, construction work, anything I could find. I saved every dollar.
You've been working extra jobs? For a month?
Her voice cracked, understanding dawning. All those evenings he'd come home exhausted, all those times she'd barely seen him, he'd been doing this for her. For them.
Amy, listen to me. We never got a proper honeymoon, 'cause we couldn't afford it. But you were right the other night. We're living like roommates, not newlyweds. I don't want that. I don't want us to lose each other because we're too busy, or too tired, or too caught up in everything else.
But the money,
The money doesn't matter. You matter. We matter. I'd work 100 extra jobs if it meant I could see you smile the way you used to. If it meant we could remember why we fell in love in the first place.
Tears spilled down Amy's cheeks now, hot against the cold air. Part of her wanted to protest, to argue about fiscal responsibility and ranch obligations. But a larger part, the part that had been suffocating under the weight of routine, felt something crack open inside her chest.
you did all this for us?
I'd do anything for us.
Amy looked down at the tickets again, really seeing them this time. Paris. The Eiffel Tower. Wandering through museums and cafes. 2 weeks of just being Amy and Ty, not horse trainers or ranch workers or anything else. Just them.
I don't know what to say.
Say you'll come with me. Say you'll let us have this.
Of course I'll come with you. I just hid. This is the most incredible thing anyone's ever done for me.
She stepped forward, wrapping her arms around him, burying her face in his chest. Ty held her tight, feeling the tension drain from both their bodies.
You deserve incredible things, Amy. You deserve more than falling into bed too tired to talk. You deserve romance and adventure, and all the things we promised each other.
They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other in the cold evening air, the tickets clutched between them. When Amy finally pulled back, her eyes were bright with tears but also with something else: excitement, hope, the spark of joy that had been missing for too long.
Can we really take 2 weeks off?
Jack already knows. So does Lou. They're going to cover for us. Everything's arranged.
You planned all of this.
Every detail. Well, except what we're actually going to do in Paris. I thought we could figure that out together.
A laugh bubbled up from Amy's chest, the first genuine laugh Ty had heard from her in weeks.
Let me get my laptop. I want to look at everything right now.
20 minutes later, they sat side by side on the couch in their loft. Amy's laptop balanced between them, pulled up to a Paris travel website. The familiar space felt different now, charged with possibility instead of weighed down by exhaustion.
The Louvre. We have to go to the Louvre.
Obviously. What else?
The Eiffel Tower at night. I've seen pictures, and it's supposed to be magical.
Consider it done.
And these little cafes in Montmartre, where you can sit outside and just watch people. Can we do that?
Amy! We can do whatever you want. That's the whole point.
She leaned her head against his shoulder, scrolling through images of cobblestone streets and historic architecture. Each picture felt like a promise, a glimpse of the adventure waiting for them.
I can't believe you did this.
I can't believe it took me so long. You were right, Amy. We were losing each other. Not in some dramatic way, but slowly, day by day. I don't ever want to feel like that again.
Me neither.
She tilted her head up to look at him, really look at him, seeing the man she'd married beneath the exhaustion and stress.
Thank you, not just for Paris, but for fighting for us. For not just accepting that this is how it has to be.
I meant what I said in our vows, for better or worse. This is us choosing better.
They sat together, planning and dreaming, their voices filling the loft with excitement. They marked favorite restaurants, debated which museums to visit first, laughed over Amy's attempts to pronounce French words from the guidebook. Hours passed without them noticing, both of them finally present in a way they hadn't been in weeks. The laptop eventually dimmed, forgotten, as they simply held each other, talking about everything and nothing, reconnecting in the quiet intimacy of shared dreams. When they finally headed to bed, it wasn't with the mechanical exhaustion that had defined their recent nights. Instead, they moved together with a renewed sense of partnership, of possibility, of hope.
10 days until we leave.
10 days.
She smiled in the darkness, imagining cobblestone streets and the glow of the Eiffel Tower. But more than that, she imagined 10 days of just being with Ty, of rediscovering the joy they'd somehow misplaced in the demands of daily life.
Think you can survive 10 more days of this place?
With Paris waiting, I think I can manage.
They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, the tickets to Paris sitting on the nightstand like a promise not just of a trip, but of a choice they'd both made to put their love first, to fight for their happiness, to remember that being married meant more than just living in the same space. Outside, Heartland Ranch settled into peaceful quiet, the horses safe in their stalls, the stars bright overhead. And in the loft above the barn, two newlyweds dreamed of French cafes and city lights, of 2 weeks where nothing would matter except being together. That concludes today's episode of Heartland. Amy and Ty have spent the past weeks exhausted and disconnected, feeling more like roommates than newlyweds. But Ty's secret plan, working extra jobs for a month to save for a surprise honeymoon, has finally come to light. Amy's reaction was everything Ty hoped for, equal parts surprise, concern, and deep appreciation for his sacrifice. Now, with 10 days until their departure, they've begun to reconnect, planning and dreaming together about their Parisian adventure. But the question remains, will 10 days be enough time to prepare for leaving the ranch? Can they really take 2 weeks away from Heartland without everything falling apart? And what adventures await them in the City of Light? Join us next time to find out as Amy and Ty finally embark on their long-awaited honeymoon. If you enjoyed this emotional episode, please like and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, have you ever had someone make a huge sacrifice for you like Ty did for Amy? We'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, this is Western Flavors.